Hi guys, Cindy over paper.old.new. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me today. We are going to play around with scraps. This is that topper pocket page cover thing I was telling you about. I got this inspiration from Sasibo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm bad with names. I know that's the name of her channel. I don't know her name. I don't catch it at the beginning of the video. I'm sorry. I will link her channel in either her channel or the video or both in the description box where I got this idea. I've been wanting to try it for a while. The video is not new. And she does, you have to go and watch her do it because my base papers are going to be already decorated. She takes plain base papers and like puts watercolor and stamping around the edges and does up the edges with ink and stuff, which also turns out nice. And at some point I will try that as well. But I wanted to get rid of some of my scraps. So I thought that we could make some of the, I'm not going to decorate them all up, but I thought we could get some of these started and decorate one or two of them. Basically what you're going to need is a piece of paper around the size that you would make a page or a cover so that it would fit, right? So using my ruler, let's see how wide this is. I'm probably going to tear this down to around, let's tear it off at the bottom, at the height first. So maybe I'll tear here. Let's tear it here. I want the torn edges. Not quite that. This is craft. This is from a craft paper pad. So these edges are going to be really gnarly. It doesn't tear easy. Okay. And then I want to look at this and I want to say, at its longest point, I still need to take off. Yeah, I still need to take off a good, probably 2 inches. So let's tear just above this. Man, this stuff is rough. Tear that down a little bit. I don't want all that on there. Okay, so that should give me a decent size height. All right, let's see what we ended up with. We ended up with something around 7.5 inches at its, like at the points where it sticks out. And then we're going to tear the edges down. So let me tear this edge off and then we'll measure where we need to tear the other edge. Okay. I'm just making more scraps. I keep saying, you know, and all this scrap using, what we end up doing is making more scraps. Okay. So we're going to need to take at least 1 inch, maybe 1/2 inch off. What did I say this was? Out at my furthest point, about 7.5. So let's make this about 5.5 then. And we'll put it right down the back side of this chair. That. Okay, so we have a nice torn, crazy, wonky piece of paper to start off with. All right, the next piece you're going to need is a piece of fabric. All right, and we are going to tear a piece that is around 5 by 7, I hope. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. First thing I'm going to do is tear, get a pair of scissors. I'm going to tear it. Where did this fold? I think that'll be a good spot. Okay, we got a strip. I want a nice torn edge. So the frayed edges you get with tearing. This is just Dollar Tree fabric. So nothing crazy here. And while these aren't scraps, they are fat squares. I went looking through my scraps. I have some fabric. Some of my fabric isn't really scraps, but you could use scrap fabric for this if you've got big enough scrap pieces. A lot of my scrap pieces are too small. And yeah, so I couldn't really. All right, now I want to go over, there's a lot of measuring involved. I'm going to go over to about here. Oh, that's crooked. Hopefully the straighter I cut it, the straighter it will tear. Okay, now I have scraps. I'll put these over here in my scrap area. And we're going to cut. This edge up here has stitching in it, like it was the branding strip. So we're going to tear that off. We'll hold on to this little guy. And possibly those. They might make a fun addition to our little topper decoration here. Okay, and then we're going to make this about 7 inches. So let's see where that would put us. And I suppose if you're really good at eyeballing it, you don't have to do all this measuring. But I have a tendency to end up tearing too much off or not enough. And then the amount I need to tear off isn't enough that it would tear necessarily. I'd have to cut it and then fray it. And the fraying, you can get the fraying even if you've cut the edge, but the fraying when you tear it is more natural and it looks better. See, like this is too big. That's too big. All right, so we're going to take a little more off of here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tear it, but we're going to try. Let me see. I want it to sit right about there. I want it to come up to right about here. So we're going to cut it right about there. And hopefully we'll get another little strip torn off. Okay, that tore okay. Now, height-wise, are we good? We're good. All right. Now, width-wise, let's pull it in to about there and cut it about, I don't want to make it too small. I'm going to cut it about here. I hope. The bottom is wider. So I should be doing this based on the bottom instead of the top. But okay, that should get me a piece that will fit. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So I can see all my paper around all the edges. And you can adjust this. So if you want it up here to cover all of that and have stuff down here, you know, you can adjust it to make it look however you want. Okay, so we're going to put that on there and I'm going to tack it down with this because this is going to go in the sewing machine. Okay, so what I might do is get all of our fabric pieces on and then take them to the sewing machine, tack them down, and then we'll do the next layer. Okay, that way we get all of our bases finished. Okay, so because I just want to at least get the bases done and then maybe get one decorated. Pull this over a little bit. Okay, so, and then what I'll sew around the edges of that. So let's put that one off to the side. Let's do this one. Okay, this is another scrap of paper that I have from, let's get torn edges, that I have from, you know, I mean, scrapping around. Let's get that torn edge and we'll tear this edge and then we'll do our measuring. Okay. So we're going to tear 2 inches off of it. So I want to tear right about here. Let's do here. Okay. Okay, so that's about 5 inches wide up here. 5 to 5.5. It's about 5.5. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to tear this end now. And then I'm going to go this way to about here. So we're going to tear this off. Oops, I made it white. I love it when I do silly, silly things. Okay. This one's very square. Did you notice? It's only about 6.5 inches. So this is going to be a small one. Might tear another bit off. I like them to be rectangles, so they'll go up and down a... Okay. So now I have some torn... This one we're going to use this fabric for. I thought the stripes and the dots would look cute. And again, yes, I'm opening new fabric, and I know this is supposed to be a scrap video, but I mean, it's Dollar Tree fabric and it's a fat quarter, so it's practically a scrap. I know that's horrible to say. It's actually not bad fabric. It's nice. It's a good thickness, a good weight. Not really a lot of complaining I should be doing. Okay, so we're going to cut right along here. I think I'll just get rid of that because I'm betting this is too wide and I'm going to have to cut it. Yep. Okay. We're only going to go to about here because I'm thinking 4.5 is about all we're going to be able to get out of this. All right, let's tear. I'm going to tear up. I'm going to cut a good sized chunk because this is all curly up here, and I'll use that for something else. We'll hold on to our little things again. I'm thinking in the decorating process they would look really cute all balled up and glued down behind a button or behind something. Okay, let's see if we've got the right width. And I think we are. No. Oh, this is like cattywampus, all cattywampus. All right, we are going to have to cut down more, but let's get the height right. That way I don't have to tear as much. I'm going to do it right about there. Okay. I got a bag of fabric scraps back there. Okay. Get some of these off of here. Put this down. And we're a little wide. All right, we're good on height, but we're a little wide. So let's take a little bit off of the side over here. Not a lot. So let's see if it'll let me tear that. Yeah. This is, I will say this, the Dollar Tree fabric is good tearing fabric. Okay. See, that's cute. I like the stripes and the polka dots. I gotta stop leaving my glue stick open. Because see, it does that. I have a ceiling fan on, and it just completely dries out my glue when I leave it open like that. Okay. So I'll put this down on here, and that's another one done. Okay. Now, the ones I want to do that we might end up decorating are for, you can probably guess, this is by the colors. What I want to do with this one is I want to make my background paper. So because I want it to be a little sturdier. So I don't want to just use this. I'm worried that sewing into it and attaching a bunch of stuff to it. I mean, granted, I'm going to glue it to a cover. I just kind of wanted it to have some bulk so it wouldn't, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't need it for this because, like I said, I'm going to glue it to a cover. So maybe we can forego that. So basically what we're going to do, this is about half of a 8.5 by 11 sheet. This is about the size. This is actually already smaller than the size of a of the cover that it's going to go on. So I'm going to kind of tear narrowly around the edges, like so, and try and get... I do not have a cover to put this up against to measure, so we're just kind of guessing. And hopefully when I go to put it down on the cover, it'll be good. And if worse comes to worse, I shouldn't say worse, if it's not big enough or it doesn't seem to fill up the space enough, I can always put a little something behind it. You know, some lace sticking out or, you know, something like that. Now let's see what I've got fabric wise. That's almost perfect, a little too wide. This one's probably a little too narrow. Let's check. This one I think is a little too, no, actually. This might be our winner. Although I might need to, okay. We're gonna have to do some trimming again. So we're going to trim it or tear it right along this red line, I think. This is a heavier fabric, definitely. As a matter of fact, I don't know if, like on the edges, the sides, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that to tear a narrow strip off, but what I might be able to do is just trim choppy trim the edges so that they don't stick out quite as far. Ooh, I don't know that I like the way that turned out. Kind of, I was looking for choppy, but I got like crazy. All right. See, that's better just by trimming that. Okay. And then remember, these are going into the sewing machine. So like that little curling corner I've got going on up there, it'll get stitched down. All right, let's put that one down. Actually, well, no, it curls one way or the other way. Okay. Make sure we get it where we want it on the little piece of paper before we go pressing it into the glue. Okay. All right. So that's that one. That's my base. Now I have another one here that I want to do. I was trying to figure out, I think I want to do the orange. These are scraps. These are scraps from when I was making the one calendar journal. So this is another one that maybe if we get time, I wouldn't mind decorating, but we have to see how it goes. All right, again, we're going to, oh, I need to get all this excess fabric and stuff out of my way. These little fuzzy things, put them over here. There's more of those. Get this up here, that. Who knows, might use it. Okay, let's do this way. Off to the races. And this way. Okay, now I have a little bit of an idea how big this one's going to be because the journal is sitting right here. So I almost don't want any more off of this side. So we're going to try and tear this a very narrow strip off of here. Okay. And then I want a narrow strip off the top. And then we'll get another semi-narrow strip off the top. Oops. Okay. So this kind of gave us an idea because I had that. And if I wasn't being lazy, this is going to be small. This is for the Apple Orchard Journal, and this is going to be small. So this will probably get mounted again on something and then put on a book. But I have this one here to hand. So we're just going to, well, I've got my base paper. So that's all I really needed to size. The rest of it can. All right, so we want to put this on here like this. I didn't even notice I have these going sideways. That will bug me. I need them to go up and down. So let's try this again, shall we? We'll tear it. Let's tear this strip off. I'm trying to get the folds out so I don't have to worry about them. Although, I guess if I'm sewing it down, it doesn't really matter. Let's do the width first, since that's what I've got. And I need to tear. So we're going to go right about here. I am so off camera. All right, so I've decided that it needs to be torn right about here. I hope that was right. I hope that wasn't too diagonal. Well, it's smaller than the thing, so. Okay, and we can pull strings for this one too. All right. Oh, it's my mouse there. Usually I take it off camera and I forgot this time. Okay. So framing all the way around, we're going to cut it here. I'm trying to keep it relatively even, but because the tearing is not even. And once you get the fabric sewn on, like if you've got a piece here and you don't like how far it sticks out, just tear a little more of it off. I mean, you can make adjustments afterwards. And I only say afterwards because then everything will be secure. Okay. So there's that. Much better. I mean, it would make a gorgeous cover fabric, wouldn't it? Now, of course, you're going to be covering a lot of this. Let's turn it this way. Nope, that's upside down. Okay. All right. So that's how you do the bases, right? Now you've got these cute little base things. Let me go get these sewn down and we'll look at what you can put on top for your next layer. I moved my mouse so it's not in my way over here. Because like there's 10,000 other things in my way over here. Okay, so the next step would be to decide, well, first of all, decide if you want a pocket on here. And then if you do, what kind of pocket do you want? So like for this one, I'm thinking tear. Now that's gotten real weak right there, so it's up to you whether or not that bothers you. And I just tore that in the wrong direction. You know what? There's not going to be anything left of this slip of paper by the time I'm done with it. If I don't start paying attention to what I'm doing. I don't like the way that keeps tilting in. And that's all on me, but whatever. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then this We'll go here. Nope. And then we're going to tear the bottom anyway, so let's just take off this part that sticks out. And then this is going to go on here like a pocket. Oh, and I tore that all up. Not this one. I just did that. Since I made such a mess of this. It doesn't have to be a big pocket. And this up here we can decorate. I'm going to tack this down with glue. And then I'll sew it when it dries. But you get the idea. So you would sew on the next layer as well. So I don't know if you can see that. In some of it you can see it really well, and in some of it it doesn't show up as well. But there's stitching around there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a pocket layer on. Now, there's two ways you can do this. I did all that. Oh, that doesn't have enough book page on the back. You could take a piece of paper and put it on here and then glue your pocket to that. But I think this fabric will allow me to slide stuff in and out. So I'm not so worried. And I think I'm going to put this off to one side. Trying to decide which side. I think I'll put it off to this side actually. Okay, and we're going to rub that down into the fabric. And that's our next layer. So you put like a pocket. And then from here, you would sew this and then you would get your embellishments and you would decorate it up. Okay. I think these are awesome, actually. I love these. So this is a base one. This was my other base one. I thought it would be fun to do the cats in a corner pocket on this with the spots. Let's go. Oops, I want to turn this corner. And we get that one like that. We put them on there like that. That's fun, right? And who knows, when I embellish it, I might cover up some of the cats. This purple one, I mean, this blue one down here might get covered up. Who knows? But that's fun. Okay. Oh, the other thing, this one definitely, I might ink it. I don't know if I should do Rusty Hinge. I don't necessarily want it to stand out too much. Rusty Hinge is pretty orange, and I'm thinking it's going to go with that fabric really well. So let's... I probably should have inked the blue one, but you know. Okay. Put ink all over it. I can't tell you how much I love. I've been wanting to do these since I first saw them. I don't know how old the video is. I'm pretty sure it's at least a year. And once again, I apologize for not knowing her name. I will get it, and when I link her video in the description box, I will try and put her name with it. And if you watch this because you see that I mentioned you, I apologize for the name thing. I'm awful with names. Okay. And again, I will come and stitch these two sides. Now, if you wanted to, you could do some stitching along here before you glued it down and give this pocket, you know, a stitched all the way around look. But I'm okay with just stitching the edge here. Okay, and that's that one, a base. So let's get these scraps out of the way and work on the two that we might decorate. I don't know that I'll use Rusty Hinge again, but we'll put the inks right over here so I can get to them. And let's do this one. Now, I was going to use more of this this is double-sided paper, okay? And there was a whole pad of it, and I used it all throughout. I know you guys remember this accordion calendar that we did, that I was doing with the, this is one of my calendar makes, with the little envelopes, with the cards from the inchies on the back of the, sorry, I know I'm getting distracted. I still need to make the cards for these, but I thought it would be fun to make the topper for the cover. This is the front, okay? Both sides will have a cover, obviously, but this is the front. And this one won't have the wraparound thing because it opens on both sides. It's an accordion. So anyway, I was going to use more of the papers from the kit or from the pad that I used all throughout this book. But I found this and the colors. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a belly band on here. Since I didn't do it on the other one, we're going to do it on this one. And we're just going to go, I'm going to tear right across here. And then I'm going to tear right across the bottom. How cute is that? Now, as far as the edges go, maybe the belly band should just be on the fabric? I don't know. Let's tear the edges off and see what we get. Nice and careful, not to. Okay, and over here. Let's see if that's short enough now to fit. Yeah, I think it is. That could glue down. And there's orange peeking out on this side and orange and the dots peeking out on that side. So really cute. I love that. This was a find in the bottom of my scrap box. See what happens when we go hunting? Okay, now, ink. We are going to... These are very subtle colors, and I don't want to overdo it. Ooh, what about old paper? That might work really well, actually. Have a pad for that already? Probably threw it out not knowing what it was. Or I covered it up not knowing what it was. Okay, we just used that. We'll take that up. Do I have two of those? That's a little aggravating. One of those is probably something else. I wish there was a way to label them. I could probably do something on the back to label it, but... Okay. This old paper, if I'm not mistaken, is just enough. Yeah. I like the way that looks. Okay. So you can do anything on these on the outside, or you can take this layer from here and just embellish it. You don't have to put a pocket or a belly band. I mean, it is going on your cover. So if you don't want anything to fill on your cover, well, I say that like you can't stick it anywhere else. You can stick it on a page in your book or on the inside cover of your book, or I guess you would want to determine that before you decorated it, depending on how bulky your decorations get. Okay, and then I'm just going to do right down the sides, and then I will run a stitch down either side of this. Okay, so just down the two sides here, and we'll put this on right about middle. You could put it lower, higher, you know, however you want to do it. Make sure all the glue hits paper. Okay. All right, and there you have it. That's a one with a belly band. Now this one we may decorate. I have some stuff over here, but let's get this one because I want to put, I sized it while I was out sewing. I sized it along the cover. I want to make this a little bigger. And what I'm thinking is I'll put it on here and tear around the edge. So we're going to put this down. I had been talking about backing it anyway, but this is not for the same reason. I'm backing it because it's too small for the cover. And I'm going to kind of go around the seams. I don't know if I'm going to get too close to the edges, only because I don't want it to seep out. And hopefully, if there's any edges that lift up after we're done with all the decorating and everything, I'll just put a little bit of glue under those edges. Okay. I don't know where my yucky rag is. I have a nice rag up there, and I don't want to necessarily get it all gross yet. I think this goes this way, actually. Not that it matters. I can just... whatever. Just don't pay attention to me. Okay. Now, just like we would with a cluster, if we made a cluster page, look at the way that peels away. That's insane. Oh, I hate that. Okay. I'll worry about it when I decorate. Height was where I needed stuff, so I can't go getting rid of all my height. Okay, that makes it a little bigger. So let's see now if we can't decorate it with what my intention to decorate it was. My original intention was to put this on here. And I don't know if I still want to do that. I can use her as a tuck, but I'm not sure if I still want to put her on here because she takes up so much room, but she would be a perfect cover piece. So let's see what happens if I tear down the edges like we've been doing on all the other ones. This paper is going to drive me crazy. You know what I should do? Get my tearing ruler down. That's what I should do. Because I cannot stand the way that's tearing. So we're just going to of course, the thing with the tearing ruler is you got to be able to, you got to be able to keep it from moving. Okay. Anyway, now I'm going to tear off an edge over here. Like so. All right. And then she can go down on here like a side tuck. She's too tall. Let's tear off a little bit at the top. And a little tiny bit at the bottom. Okay, now, the thing about this is going to be, I think I want her to overhang the paper. And overhang off onto the brown. And I'm definitely going to be stitching on her piece. So, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so this is a torn edge, so I don't know if I can do this without it looking weird. I don't like it. What about this guy? You can stick another piece of fabric on here. Okay, I want to stick that on there. And then I'm thinking, see, that's too tall. That can't be my card, but this can. This can be my card to go in there. And then we just have to decorate it up. Now, one of the things that you can do is put some paper on here. It turns all my pies sideways. Ooh, I could put some music sheet on here. What do you think? I like it. Okay, so far so good. So let's do that. This is going to need... I'm just going to put it over like that. I'm just going to glue it right to the fabric. Just like that. It is Fabri-Tac. And then when I stick my card, there'll be, that paper will be there. Okay, now this, I think I'm going to do the fire brick red. And once I get this on here, give you guys an idea of how this comes together. I don't think we're going to decorate two, guys. But hopefully we'll get this one pretty much decorated. Okay, now I'm going to get my thinner line here. Although along that back, I might want to put a thicker line. I think I will. I'm going to put a thick line down the back, and then I'll put two thin lines on the top and bottom. See that? I got glue all over the place. Okay, now my next step would be to sew this pocket. I don't want to do anything until I do that. So I'm not sure that I should mess with it anymore because I'm afraid that if I do, okay, now I also have to figure out how I want to embellish it because this is too plain. I was thinking I could make a small ruffle out of this. Let me go back to my sewing machine real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so while I was gone, I made this little cluster thing here and we're going to glue it to the corner here. I did not stitch. It's late and I would like to get this video done and I don't have time to let the glue dry and I don't want to run my needle through. That's still wet Fabri-Tac in there and I don't want to run my needle through it. So I'm not going to stitch around the picture. Normally I would stitch around this pocket or whatever pocket I'm going to put on there. And since the others are going to be way dry by the time I use them, I will most likely stitch on those. This pen likes to squirt glue. Okay, and we're going to put this little ruffle thing on here. So I think that's adorable. Okay. All right, now I brought out my buttons and I was liking this if I could find something to go in the middle, which I can't. And this is really cute, but I had a thought. And we might still use this one maybe up here. Or maybe I could use this one down here and use this one up there. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so we're going to glue this on here because this doesn't need any more string. And what I'm thinking for the two, for these two, oh, I love it. Okay, now you can embellish these with as much or as little as you want, obviously. They don't have to be like all totally done up. I like the extra threads. It adds to the fumbly thread thing going on here, but I am going to clip a few of the ones from the sewing machine. Okay, and adorable. And then what I want to do is put that up there, but I want to put some floss in it. Let's see if I've got any green. Oh, here, perfect, dark green. Now all I have to do is find a needle. I don't know where all my needles are in the transferring of things up and down from my craft room. I'm not sure. This looks like a nice big needle. The question is, will it fit through the buttonholes? And the answer is yes. How about this one? Yeah, those buttonholes are bigger. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I might not even need the needle. But I'm going to put, I'm off camera again, aren't I? I scooted back. See, it's a thing. All right, so basically what I'm going to do, no, I want the strings in the top. Okay, so we're going to go like this. And I'm going to go like this. And we're going to sew it to the top of the button. Come back through here. And then back through there. Let's pick the button up. Okay. Like that. And then we're going to go back through and do it again, just to give myself a little wrap around to hold it all together. Okay. Doesn't need to be a lot. And then we're going to tie a little bow. Yeah, it's going to be a big bow, and then I'll just adjust the size. Cute, right? Okay, and we're going to put hot glue all over that, and we're going to stick it right there. Really cute. Okay, now, if you really wanted to, you could double knot that. My problem was my bow was too small to double knot. And now that I've got glue on the back, I don't know that that'll move. And then I think we're going to I'm going to cut them kind of long, because you could dangle some beads off of there. Oh no, that's coming untied. Okay, it's unknotted now. I can retie it, stick glue in there. That's basically the problem. I need glue in the knot. So Fabri-Tac will work better because it will stay wet longer. Okay, now, next thing we want to do is make our bow. But I want to be able to adjust it before it dries. Okay, there. Now I'm not going to mess with it. There you go. And then I'm going to cut these long because I might end up dangling something off of them. And then if I don't, I can always cut them off. But there we go. There's a finished one, guys. And it's got a little pocket in it. And yeah, these are so cute. Look at that. That's adorable. I love the way that turned out. It's going to look cute on the front of the Country Orchard apple journal that I'm making. And I mean, give this a shot. Like I said, I will link Sasibo's video and her channel in my description box. Go and take a look at these and how she does them. They're amazing. And I will see you guys next week. We'll go back and look at what we made with scraps. And, you know, maybe pick a favorite or something like that, or maybe work on a few that we didn't get to finish in the first run through, maybe embellish a few things, you know, stuff like that. And I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.